Hi there, this is the Legal Garage, and this is part 3 of our conversation with Steve Keil. In today's episode, we will talk about corporate social responsibility and whether companies should invest more in it. We will discuss short-term versus long-term business goals. We will talk about competition and whether we can view the market as a cake, as a finite resource that compels companies to race to the bottom. Stay tuned. The phenomenon of corporate social responsibility has established itself globally, especially in the developed and socio-economically advantaged countries. Companies demonstrate their willingness to be more conscious of the implications their businesses have on society, the economy, and the environment. However, CRS has also been criticized for not being grounded in a set of principles about what it means to be a responsible business. Instead, CSR has become whatever companies want it to be, and often what is most convenient. We asked Steve about what he makes of CSR. Should companies invest more in CSR so that they are perceived as something more than just serving the private interests of their shareholders and directors?
I think that's a wrong way to think about this because it's almost like putting a Band-Aid on a very rotten problem. And we have to think more systemically. I mean, CSR is totally bullsugar in the sense that, you get companies like Philip Morris that literally spend more on promotion of their CSR than their CSR because they want to be seen as good corporate citizens. Really? I mean, come on, it's a joke. I think if it's not coming from you from the inside, like if you haven't done this because you wanted to, CSR is never going to fix your problem. To me, this is all a bunch of PR. I think companies have a responsibility to society and community. And like Adam Smith, who was like the originator of the original book about capitalism, he basically said that if there's a choice between profit and society, always pick society. We're so far from that. It's not even funny. I don't even know what we've become. And I don't think CSR and these type of things are actually going to fix anything. I think it has to be fundamentally a bottom-up change, a grassroots change. And it has to be driven through the entire organization. I think we need to realize that everything is wrong in many ways. I mean, a company, like the whole thing that we learned that the point of a business is to make profit for the shareholders. Yeah. Really? Says who? Milton Freedman?
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry, Milton, you're an asshole. You're not thinking about society, you're not thinking about community, you're not thinking about raising all the boats. It's not mutually exclusive to do well and make revenue and be profitable and actually do good by all your stakeholders. And I mean, your employees, your customers, your community, your society, the places you work. And instead, what have we become? We've become a lack of personal responsibility. We're going to make our stuff in China or Indonesia or any country far, far away where nobody has the connection to the actual people buying and using it. And so you don't actually have to look face to face in somebody's eye if you make a bad product or you put lead in your paint or something in your baby food or whatever. And we're so disconnected at this point that we just don't care. Right? I mean, that's the fundamental issues. It's not, do I have CSR to patch that up? No. I mean, at some point it's like what? You put a little elf on your cookies and it's supposed to make them care and feel better. No, your cookies are made somewhere you don't even know that people make them. You're selling to people you don't know that make them. There's such a distance, an invisible wedge between buyers, sellers, community, and employees that no one cares, right? You don't have this personal responsibility. You fix that first, and you don't have to worry about CSR.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
they're compensating with giving to charity because they lack the appropriate business culture.
Oh yeah, I'm Monsanto and I'm going to go make some Roundup and basically poison our entire food system, our entire health of our communities, of our children, and create a bunch of cancer. But hey, don't worry about it. I'm donating to this organization. Yeah. Really? No, what you're doing is evil. I mean, you're not even human at this point.
Businesses nowadays perceive the market as a cake. Companies chase after market shares. They want market power. Their aim is to have as many pieces of the cake as possible. They strive to be the biggest on the market, but at what cost? The issue is that the market, or success for that matter, is not anything like a cake. Success is not a finite resource. Shouldn't success be something more than just the size of your market shares or profits? Can we say that businesses chasing profits and going after market shares is just short-term thinking? Do businesses need to think beyond that?
We're always thinking short-term. Should we be thinking long-term? Absolutely. Should we be thinking about a wider scope? I mean, Milton Freedman and these guys just annoy the heck out of me. Profit is not the point of a business. I mean, it's a point of a business. We need to make money. I encourage you to make money. I want to make money. It's not a bad thing, but not at the expense of humanity, at the expense of community, at the expense of society. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. There's plenty of companies that are doing well. And I'm not talking Marxism or socialism. I mean, actual companies that are making revenue, but provide a great workplace, that have been around for years and years and continue to grow and thrive. Growth itself, for the sake of growth, annoys me. I mean, why? Because the VCs say that? Oh, because they invested X amount of money and they're supposed to give it back in 10 years to their LPs. And if they don't, they're in trouble. So you have to grow 10x, 3x, 5x, blah, 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 at the expense of all other stuff. Well, usually there's only one thing in nature that grows that much, which is cancer. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, why do I have to grow that much? We've stopped asking why, which was leading to one of your other questions. And we're just following this paradigm, and it's ridiculous. It's toxic.
Let's go back to the cake metaphor. Is success a finite resource? Is that the reason why some companies race to the bottom?
But in general, competition, I guess it depends on how you view things, right? Like for me, competition is encouraging me to think of how to be more creative, productive, interesting, right? So I'm not thinking, oh, how do I beat out that company in some sort of sneaky way? Like, let's take outsourcing, right? It's very competitive. And you have this issue with, everyone trying to get the same developers, and it's all tough and pricey, and how much can you charge? And in Bulgaria, we're small, we don't have big access to a pool, but we're good quality, but we have to compete with India and blah, blah, blah. That's competition. And you have to think, how do I overcome that by providing a better service or treat my people better so they actually want to come work with me, even though we may not have the same salary as XYZ? Or how do we provide the projects that they like or that are challenging and interesting for them? Or maybe we have to follow a different niche, Usually I view competition as a challenge to improve myself and my company. Not necessarily.
But that is the better way to view competition. But there's another way, there's a different way, which is like competition to the bottom.
There is, and that's exactly what I was saying earlier about why I don't like oligarchy and corporatocracy, right? So what you've got now in most of the West is rigged competition, right? So you go and you lobby the government for XYZ, you get this law changed.
Which is not really competition at the end of the day.
No, it's using power and influence to screw your competitors. So from that perspective, I agree with your question and your comment that this is not a good approach. But this harkens back to my previous comment that as the young generation, you should see how rigged this society is, and you should be a force for change or revolt. I mean, we need a revolution, right?
A revolution is indeed what we need. As you can see, our discussion with Steve is getting more and more interesting, and we would love to hear your thoughts on the topics we discussed today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and until next time.